Hey, what's up guys? So we finally got the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer as well as the international trailer, and needless to say, it was pretty amazing and it was spectacular. Full intent on those puns, guys. It was awesome. It gave away really nothing from Endgame and it gave really nothing from the movie. Like, I still am very curious about the order of the sequences, even though I try my best to line them up in the rest of the video, and I am insanely hyped for this movie after seeing the official teaser trailer and the official international teaser trailer. And I'm filled with questions and I'm very curious about certain things that we saw in the trailer, some of the little things and what they could mean. I'm going to be talking about, and some of the questions that I personally have after seeing the trailer, and some of the questions I've been seeing people ask. So I'm going to try my best to elaborate on some of them and try to propose some certain things, especially after seeing that slick ass new suit. The music for this trailer, it gave me chills. It gives me chills, and quite possibly the most immaculate entrance and fishbowl fit I've ever seen, and I'm just insanely excited to talk about Spider-Man today, guys. So if you're interested in hearing about any of that, definitely stay tuned for the rest of the video. But before we begin, make sure if you are subscribed to turn on your notifications to keep up with all my latest uploads, and if you like this video and you decide you want to see more, definitely consider subscribing. I always appreciate it. With that all out of the way, guys, let's get right into it. So the trailer starts off at this homeless support charity dinner, and we see that it looks kind of as though Aunt May works for this organization, and I'm getting major Feast vibes like Spider-Man PS4 going on here, so that's pretty cool. I'm kind of liking that. Aunt May looks like she's super supportive of Peter being Spider-Man, which is kind of cool, even though everybody kind of assumed that she would be uneasy about her nephew going out and fighting bad guys. I'm loving how Spidey is seeming to gain popularity amongst New York, and he's getting a lot more support from his city. You see that girl with her little homemade Spider-Man mask, and I think I see a guy holding up a pamphlet with him in the back, so this could kind of allude to it being a planned event. Now, how far in advance this event was planned, I'm not too sure. We see Happy enter that little room, and he's holding a huge $500,000 check. And the important thing that we need to look at, they're intentionally showing us this scene with the left side kind of cut off and off view. We can clearly see that Pepper Potts signed this check, which isn't too odd to me. I do believe she was at a time active CEO of Stark Industries. You can kind of make out on the left side of the check Relief Foundation, and in this little frame you can see a K at the end, which you can kind of guess that it might be the Stark Relief Foundation, which is kind of alluding to Stark actually dying in Endgame. But of course, guys, that cannot be confirmed or said with 100% certainty, because whatever happens in Endgame is basically gonna be a bag of cats to predict. It's just almost impossible. Time travel, different timelines, different universes, it's gonna be insane. But rest assured that this movie is a sequel. This does happen after Endgame, and I'll get into that a little bit later in the video. So there's gonna be something going on with Pepper Potts in this movie, and that would kind of correlate to some of the rumors that I've heard about her popping up. And then we kind of see this whole Aunt May and Happy romance kind of come out of nowhere. And when I first heard about this, when the trailer description came out from when they showed it in Brazil, I was kind of not sure how I'd feel about this. It kind of sounded weird, but now actually seeing this, it's not so bad, and it's definitely not as bad as it sounded. So I would really like to see how this whole romance plays out, and I think it'd actually be good. Happy might be first person Aunt May has any kind of romance with after Uncle Ben, so this might bring up some more Uncle Ben discussions, which I'm 100% all for. More talking about Uncle Ben, I'm 100% down for. We see Delmar's bodega has been repaired since that last crazy Chitauri blast. We can also see framed pictures and articles from the incident and pics of Mr. Delmar and Spidey framed all up there. It also looks like he's wearing the same clothes in the store as when he goes to get his passport, so these two scenes could be before that whole charity event when Aunt May is going through kind of like a checklist for Peter to make sure he packed all of his important things. We get an amazing shot of Peter web swinging through New York, and it looks amazing. Very reminiscent of the Amazing Spider-Man web swinging, just in the way he's moving now, and that's a very good thing. If the Amazing Spider-Man series series got anything right, it was the web swing, so I'm very excited about this. I'm really glad to see it, and I do believe it was said that there would be a lot more web swinging in this movie, and that was kind of a big complaint, even for myself with Homecoming. I wish there was more web swing, but I understand Spider-Man is fairly new to being Spider-Man, so I'm kind of enjoying the progression of Peter and his powers. Like, it seems the way he's web swinging, like he's getting more confident and more comfortable with his powers, and I'm really digging that progression, and I'm pretty sure that he'll get even better as time progresses, so I'm very excited about that and seeing a more dynamic and more comfortable Spider-Man and confident Spider-Man. There's obviously noticeable construction going on in the back of this shot, which we know is Avengers Tower because of that Battle of New York mural, but we don't know exactly what is being built. Now, two of the biggest things that people have said and have been saying since Homecoming, since Infinity War, is that it's either going to be Oscorp or it's going to be for the Fantastic Four, the Baxter building. Now, my opinion, it makes all the sense in the world that this new building, whatever the Avengers Tower is being made into, and whoever bought it, is probably gonna have something to do with Norman Osborn, and it's probably gonna be Oscorp. It just makes all the sense in the world to me that they would put this much emphasis in each Spider-Man movie into this building, and that it would be a Spider-Man villain who would have bought it, and it would honestly pay off with the story as well. So I'm gonna say that it's more than likely gonna be Oscorp. While Peter is packing for the trip, we see the initials BFP on his suitcase. Now, as soon as I saw this, I immediately thought Benjamin Franklin Parker, and I had never read or seen or heard that Uncle Ben had a middle name in any continuity, so I actually had to Google this, and I had to Google if there were any suitcase brands that started with BFP just to make sure, but I couldn't find that either. So I'm guessing that this Uncle Ben as a middle name, and maybe he was named after the founding father and famous inventor Benjamin Franklin, which could potentially play into Peter's scientific nature if he got some of that from his Uncle Ben. I think that would be a pretty interesting thing to see. We see the class in Venice. We learn Ned and Betty are now dating. Ned has got that game. We see Michelle is definitely giving Peter some of those looks, and I'm honestly kind of happy about this, and I'm really glad to see their romance blossoming. And for the people that really look at these trailers, and even not so much for the people that look at these trailers, you can see on the boat behind when Betty is taking the picture of Ned, ASM 212, which alludes to the comic where Hydro Man makes his first appearance. That's where he's gonna turn up, in Venice. We see Ned get darted, and I bet a lot of people kind of got shocked at this point, but we kind of got a little sense of relief when we saw out of the shadows get our first look at Nick, and this is probably the point where he recruits Spider-Man. Now, I think this was shown to us in a way that makes us think that this happens before Hydro Man happens. So I'm proposing that maybe if this scene happens after the whole Hydro Man scenario, then maybe Nick Fury is taking Peter back to the scene of the crime, or maybe he's taking him to a secret location to meet up with Mysterio and talk about these damn elementals, or maybe he's trying to talk to him about Chameleon. I don't know. We see Spidey rocking the new red and black suit, looking downright spectacular, guys. I love the texturing of the suit, especially the black parts. It looks really good, and it looks like it's making for way easier motion CGI, which I'm very glad. I know that was kind of a big complaint as well in the previous Spider-Man movies, that the suit at times looked like rubber, and I'm not seeing any point in the trailer where the suit is looking like rubber. It looks, again, very reminiscent to the Amazing Spider-Man web swing and the kind of texturing on the suit. And remember, that's an amazing thing. They got that right. I applaud you, the Amazing Spider-Man series. This looks great. This also makes me wonder a lot of things. How and why and when he got this suit, and just what kind of functions this suit actually has. If it's supposed to be anything different from the red and blue suit. There's a rumor going around this suit was made by Tony Stark for Peter before he died, but that kind of doesn't make too much sense to me, because after Infinity War, Peter was dead, so why make a suit for a dead person? But maybe he did make this back in the day, maybe along with a plethora of suits he left behind for Peter. But again, the whole rumor kind of banks off the fact that Tony made it before he died, which is again something we cannot say for certainty. Endgame is super unpredictable, but it does seem likely. Now I'm gonna say he gets this suit after Venice. We can clearly see that he's in London right here, and I'm also gonna say say the London scene is probably the third act of the movie, because this red and black suit we also know will be popping up in New York, as we've seen from those set pictures of Michelle and Spidey in New York. And we know that in the carnival scene in Prague that he's going to be wearing the stealth suit that we just got a better look at, and we saw those pretty cool retractable lenses. But I'll get more into that suit in a second. But by him just having this suit makes me believe that something happened to the red and blue suit, that he's not using it anymore. Maybe it got busted up in a battle with Hydro Man or the Stone Sandman. Also curious as to how he gets it. Does Nick Fury get it to him? Does Pepper Potts get it to him, or just Happy fly it out to him? And also the functions of the suit. It doesn't look too different from the red and black suit apart from the patterns. So is it supposed to be elemental proof? Maybe it has some kind of function to negate whatever tech Mysterio is using, but that's kind of like the best thing I can think of. Now, as for the stealth suit, we see him in the carnival scene with it, and we know that it's a shield stealth suit for Spidey, but I'm curious, who is he trying to hide from? At first, I thought that he was going to definitely use it to kind of hide from Mysterio, try to get close to him without him noticing, and putting him in some kind of alternate world with his illusions. But now that we know that he's going to be teaming up with him, I'm very curious as to why he would have to be stealthy around an elemental. Is he just trying to change up the suit so that he's not recognized and maybe he doesn't get apprehended because of the Sokovia Accords, unless the Sokovia Accords are somehow inadvertently or advertently abolished in the events during Endgame? But yeah, I'm very curious as to why he even has that suit to begin with and what function it's going to serve against the elementals. And some of the next more important shots that we get are of Hydro Man tearing it up in Venice against Peter. Now, I'm kind of curious as to why Peter has his web shooters on, but he has no suit. Maybe he couldn't put on his suit in front of anybody and he was getting tore up by Hydro Man, and maybe that's why he doesn't have a suit, or maybe something happened to it already. Why the elementals are targeting Peter, if they are targeting him. But I want to talk about our first look at the magnificent Master of Illusion, Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean Mysterio. I definitely mean Mysterio, guys. When he popped up out of that green mist, it was just damn immaculate, guys. I'm really digging it. And we got to see the fishbowl, guys. They made it work. That's what Marvel Studios does. They make those things look good and be functional. It looks sick. I'm very curious about just what the hell he's doing with the tech. We do know that it is based off of Chitauri tech, so I'm assuming he bought it off of Vulture, so that could be a tie to him right there. Just when we saw those shots of Mysterio throwing those blasts and flying around on that mist, if it is real or not, which is also a thing I want to talk about, but when we're seeing him do that, that was insane. And later in the trailer, after we get that whole Flash Thompson, he loves Spider-Man but hates Peter Parker little scene, Mysterio, when he's doing his thing, when he's throwing those blasts, and just his whole aesthetic as well, he looks like a sorcerer. It looks very reminiscent to Doctor Strange. So I'm wondering what exactly the perception of Mysterio is going to be, because we know that Nick Fury is going to recruit him and that Spider-Man, they're going to be brothers in arms at the beginning of the movie trying to take down these elementals. But are they aware that he's using tech, Chitauri tech? What is he exactly keeping from him? Is he keeping from them that it is Chitauri tech? Is he telling them that he uses magic and he's leaving out that it's, you know, science, his own science and his own tech? Or is the perception that he's using both? Because that looks insanely close to like what Doctor Strange does. So I'm very curious about the perception, because that's going to be a big thing in the movie, is perception. Very curious as to how Nick Fury sees him and how Spider-Man actually sees him. Mysterio is definitely going to be the bad guy of this movie, guys, so he's obviously behind something. I do believe he is behind the elementals. I don't know if he's having any help from any outside sources, but I'm very curious to see how exactly he's pulling this off and what tech he's using. Now, as for some of the questions that I've been hearing and some of them that have been popping up, I want to address some of those, like the whole deal with the elementals and the confusion behind that, because some of them look like characters that we are pretty familiar with, but these things are called the elementals, and that's coming from there being a group in the Marvel universe called the elementals. And I think what's going to happen is there is going to be an amalgam of the two different parallel characters, like Hydro Man and Hydron, Magnum and Sandman. So I think it's safe to say that they'll just be a mixture of that we'll be seeing. For sure this movie is going to be a sequel. A lot of people, especially with the people that don't keep up too much with the MCU, they will be very, very curious. And I know a lot of people have been confused about the trailer coming out. Obviously, last time we saw Spider-Man, he turned into a pile of dust. So everybody's saying this has to be a prequel to Avengers, right? It has to take place before Avengers. It can't be after Endgame, but it was said a long time ago that this movie takes place minutes after Avengers Endgame. So rest assured, this is a sequel, and I do believe entirely that it is a sequel. Now, one of the questions that a lot of people have been talking about as well is who exactly is the villain of this movie? I'm more than certain that Mysterio is the main villain of the movie. He's gonna start off as a good guy. He's gonna be teaming up with S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury, and Spider-Man to try and take down these elementals. He supposedly knows about them, or knows more than anybody else knows about them, so he's gonna try and help Nick Fury and Spider-Man take him down, and that's why Nick Fury actually recruits him. But pretty self-explanatory, especially if you know the character of Mysterio, that this is him messing with people's minds and the perception of people into thinking that he is a good guy. Now, I'm very curious, like, what exactly is Mysterio trying to do? Is he trying to just prove himself to be a hero, to try to get in and infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D.? Or is he actually trying to flip the narrative here and make Spider-Man the bad guy? I think that would be very cool if that actually happened. I'm also curious who these guys are that are shooting up this place. That was a super quick scene. I'm not too sure where this takes place at, but whose goons are these? I don't know who they could be shooting at actually, so I'm just gonna leave that there for you guys to theorize about. But all in all, that was a spectacular, an amazing trailer. I can't wait. But let me know what you guys thought of the trailer. If you noticed anything that I didn't notice, if I got anything wrong or missed anything, please let me know. If you liked the trailer, if you didn't like the trailer, let me know what you didn't like, what you wish you could have seen, and let me know your theories and your speculations. I'd love to hear them actually, guys. That's pretty much it. If you guys liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.